had 20 empty homes in my neighborhood. So I go home, I start researching them, and then I found that 10 of the homes had different mailing addresses than the actual home address. So I'm like, I'm going to write them a letter. So I had this notepad, a yellow notepad with the lines on it. And I wrote, I'm embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed then too. I am not a realtor. I know nothing about real estate. I was driving in the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood. Your house looks empty. I don't know how I could help you, but I'm wondering what's going on with your house. I currently have 60 single family homes that I have rented. I've done over 500 deeds though.
Wow.
And I'm on this Google Meet with her boss that I didn't know. And I'm like, he's like, so why do you think this property's worth this? And I'm like, I don't really know. I just have a vision. I want to help provide housing. I'm making the area better. It's going to go up in value. I'm telling him all these things. And at the end of the call, he says, approved. The whole reason he does this lending is he wants to find people just like you who are having a challenge, who are making a difference. And he's like, this is exactly, you are the perfect person. And he loves what you're doing.
Hola, ¿qué tal? Estamos en un episodio más de Real Estate Talks. Seguimos en las conferencias que nos venimos Lala y yo. Estamos en unas conferencias que se hacen anuales de una organización de mujeres en real estate, se llama Investor. Y bueno, queremos aprovechar todo el talento que está aquí para entrevistar a personas que nos vienen a comunicar mucha información de real estate.
Así es, Gaby, muy contenta de estar aquí con una gran invitada. Estamos en el Barton Creek de Austin, en la conferencia más grande de real estate para mujeres en Estados Unidos.
Y escuchamos a Cami hablar. Y bueno, Cami yo ya la había conocido antes en un otro evento que tuvimos. And well, we say, okay, let's have Cami in the studio to tell us everything about your journey about real estate and how did you got here? And I mean, you have a great community. You have such a big community of women. And you are a mentor. You're killing it in real estate. So we wanted to share your story with our audience.
Thank you. Yes. So, so I started in real estate. The reason I do it is I was a nurse and I worked at MD Anderson. It's a large cancer hospital. Excuse me, in Houston, Texas. And I quit my job to stay home with the kids. With my first baby.
Tell them how many kids you have.
So I have 4 kids. I have a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, a 14-year-old, and a 12-year-old.
Busy mom.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And when I started this, they were babies, right? So I started learning about it when I had the first baby. But in 2 years, I had 30 homes. In 4 years... 2 years, sorry. 2 years I had 15 homes. In 4 years I had 30 houses.
But how does it come from somebody who is in the nursing business? I mean, you health.
Yes.
Totally health.
Yes.
How do you say, are your husband in real estate?
No.
Is he something related to real estate? Or why?
Nothing.
What did you hear? What book did you read? They say, okay, let me try this out.
Yes. So when I quit my job to stay home, it was the hardest decision that I had ever made in my life. And I didn't know that it was going to be that hard, but I didn't realize that I felt like I was giving up. I go to school and I get my degree and spend a lot of time to then be this person. And I felt like I gave up my identity.
Oh, that happens to a lot of moms.
I know.
To stay home.
Including me sometimes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love being a mom, don't get me wrong. And I'm sure you do too.
So glad that I could be home. Like, I was so fortunate. And I even felt kind of guilty that I even felt sad about it. But then my mother-in-law, I've got this new baby that sleeps a lot. Luckily, I had a great baby. And she sent me this book. She was working with this real estate investor at the time. And he was writing a book, so she was the editor. So she's like, will you read through this? We're about to publish it. Can you make sure that there's not any mistakes? So I start reading this book, and I didn't really understand hardly anything in the book. And I remember it kept saying, get the deed, get the deed, get the deed.
What book was that?
It's Ron McMillan, and I don't even know if he's, I don't even know how popular the book is or anything. But at the very, very last chapter of the book, it talks about tax foreclosures. So when the county taxes foreclose, and it wipes out a mortgage, because the county taxes are first lien position over a superior lien over taxes. Well, I kind of got intrigued because I was like thinking, you can go to an auction and you can buy a property for the price of taxes. And then that's where I got hooked. And then I started doing research, and then it said Texas was the best state to do it in because you actually get the deed to the home and not just a lien on the home. Some states you're not actually getting ownership.
Just a little bit of Spanglish here. The deed son las escrituras.
Son las escrituras.
Las escrituras. Okay.
Yes. So it wouldn't be título?
Yeah, el
El
título.
título.
Sí, que las escrituras. It's another way to call it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so get ownership. And so I, of course, did a lot of research, and that's where I got hooked. But then the tax auction wasn't as easy as I thought it would be. But I went to the tax auction. I did see a property go for the price of taxes. So I was even more hooked. I was like, what just happened? But I also went on 4th of July, and no one else was there. Well, not as many people were there. And so I kept going to like 3 or 4 more tax auctions after that, and they were going higher after that. They were still good deals, but I didn't have that much cash. So from there, I kind of just tabled it for a little while. And then later I have 3 babies now. And I'm trying to get them all to sleep at the same time because they're all 18 months apart. And I'm driving them around in the car because I'm like, they're not going to sleep, so I'm going to put them in the car and we're going to drive, right? Because they always go to sleep when you drive.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driving, and in my little neighborhood, not very far, I'm like, oh, there's an empty home. There's an empty home. There's an empty home. And I'm like,
What year was this?
This was 2010.
Okay.
2010, so after 2007, and a lot of these homes are just sitting now, right? Because they're upside down. They're not foreclosing because there's just so many homes that are behind on their loans. So then I'm like, I'm going to write these homes down. So I start writing them all down. And because of the tax auctions, I knew how to find stuff on them. So I had 20 empty homes in my neighborhood. So I go home, I start researching them, and then I found that 10 of the homes had different mailing addresses than the actual home address. So I'm like, I'm going to write them a letter. So I had this notepad, a yellow notepad with the lines on it, and I wrote, I'm embarrassed about it. I was embarrassed then, too. I'm not a realtor. I know nothing about real estate. I was driving in the neighborhood. I live in the neighborhood. Your house looks empty. I don't know how I could help you, but I'm wondering what's going on with your house.
How did you get the contact information for those homes?
So because of the tax auctions and stuff, I learned how to go look them up. But I went and I can find them on the county record and the county appraisal district. It's public information.
Yeah.
So I just, And now even better than then. Then you could only get some of the stuff. You had to go into the county to find some of the stuff. Now most of it is just all online. Yep.
Yeah.
So I go and I'm like, 10 of them have different mailing addresses. So I write these 10 letters, put my name and my phone number, put them in the mail. A little embarrassed to even send them, but I'm like, oh, well, we'll just send them. And I got a call back on the 10 letters.
1 out of
10. And 2 weeks later, because that's about how long it took probably for the mail to get there, for them to call me. And she said, you sent me this letter. She's like, you can have the house for $1,000.
No way.
Give me $1,000. It's yours. And I thought,
you couldn't believe it. She was like, it's a trick.
I'm like, can you do
she's
that?
Not saying. Yeah.
I'm like, what? So of course I go back and I start researching. And I was like, okay, well I could get, and then that book came to my mind. Okay. Get the deed, get the deed, get the deed. So I thought, okay, I know where the deed is in the documents on the first home we ever bought that we were living in. And so I went and found the deed. And I copied it. I just put in different names. I copied the document and had her sign and notarize. And then I went and filed it at the county myself.
As your own home.
As
and you paid her the money that she. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And I didn't know if it was going to work.
Was there liens on the property? Or?
So the surprise is I didn't get her husband to sign. And in Texas, it's a community property state. So even though it only showed her name on the deed.
They were both owners.
They were both owners.
Texas.
Luckily, I had already paid the money. And I was like, oh, no, I only got her deed. Which I would have been half owner, so I would have still been okay. But I didn't have full title or full ownership. And so luckily, the husband signed. we went back and got the husband to sign. So that one didn't have any liens, but after I did that, well, of course, when I filed the deed, my husband was so scared to death of it that we were going to get police officers after us, that everyone was going to be so mad at us, or that we'd be in trouble, right? Yeah. And then, so we ended up refinancing the house a year later, which was the easiest process ever. So now, the home we were living in, we ended up renting out. The deed that I got, we ended up moving into that house. So now we have 2 homes, and I paid nothing. Well, I just paid her, but I didn't pay the bank. Well, so it was behind on the payments, but we were able to get a loan modification and roll the payments to the end of the loan. So I didn't have to, I basically came in and just made the next payment and then put a renter in the house.
What happened with that? Because she had a loan and they have first first lien position, that loan. So because she did the property to you, what happened to that loan? So whenever you sell, you are responsible for that lien?
Yes. So on that one, I didn't know. Now I get like a power of attorney, and I send it over to the bank so that I have authorization to speak on the loan. Back then, I had her give me authorization, and then the authorization came off after a few years, and I had to go back to her and get, so
you were doing subject to without even knowing you were doing subject to.
Yes.
Wow. And subject to, just for the people that listen to us, I think we talk about it in another podcast, as one specifically about it who explains it and raps to, but it's taking over the deed.
Yes.
And Cami Davis is like the expert in subjects too. So you started doing it without even knowing.
I was self-taught, self-made, like figured out how to do it.
When did you discover that it was a thing and you were like, okay, let's just...
honestly, up until like 2 years ago when Pace Morby came out, still nobody knew about it. Not really. Last year when I went to the Investor Conference, was my first year to go, I told people about it and they're like, what's that? I don't know what that is. But because of Pace Morby, now everybody knows what it is. Mm-hmm. But even then, when I would tell people, actually, they would all like kind of give me that look like,
are you doing something illegal?
Yeah, and they thought I was kind of shady.
So it's basically taking someone else's mortgage, right?
Well,
yes.
Yes.
So leaving the loan in somebody else's name, leaving it on the original person's credit and in their name, but then I get the title. So I never go get my own financing. I don't have to go to a bank. I don't have to have good credit. I don't have to have money most of the time. Mm-hmm. And the houses that I got were in really good condition. Like I basically just put a renter right in.
So the question would now be, so now I'm going to go back to the start. You have how many properties right now?
I currently have 60 single family homes that I have rented. I've done over 500 deeds though.
Wow.
Like in different situations.
Yeah, in different situations. You have been moving your portfolio back and forth.
Because sometimes if I have to put a lot of money in, if it does need work, or let's say I have to bring it current, let's say they're behind 5 or 10 months of payments, if I have to keep money in, then a lot of times I'll just turn and sell it.
Just sell one of your
But if I get one and I'm like, I have a few, quite a few, where I paid nothing for it. So then I'm like, I'm going to keep that because I have no cash into this.
Yes.
Yes. So my return on my investment is infinity.
Yes.
Yes.
And so how do you find these deals?
Yeah, so then it was exactly how I did it. They were empty homes. I would drive around. I would track them down. I would find them on Facebook. So I'd find them on the county record, and then I'd go find them on Facebook or LinkedIn. Now I have a people search that I use. That worked all up until about 2018. And then the market got high, right? So, and I was getting like a house a month just from finding people behind on their HOA. So then I would find people behind on their HOA too, because you can go in the county record and put in a certain, like mine's Summerwood, my neighborhood. So I'd put Summerwood Community Association, and I would find all the HOA liens.
People that haven't paid their HOA.
Haven't paid their HOA. So then I'd go drive by them, and if they were empty, I'd be like sending them a letter. Say, hey, your house looks empty. Right? Because it
Can
works.
I help you?
Yes.
It works.
Yeah.
Can I help you? This
So,
is
and you keep doing that? Because even when the market was like that everyone, I mean, there was literally like ejércitos. O sea,
Yes.
people moving, looking for, finding opportunities. Were you still able to find those
It did get harder. So 2016 to about 2018, it did get harder. And then the people search I had, I could get their cell phone, but nobody else could get their cell phone. But then about 2016, anyone and everyone can get your cell phone now.
Yes.
So then it did get really, really hard. So then what I did then, door knocking, like friends would refer them at that point because everybody knew what I was doing. Somebody that I'd helped in the past would then tell their friend that I could help them. Now today, so then, and of course, COVID happens and there's nothing because nothing's foreclosing.
Nothing. Everybody can just put a sign out there and you have like 20 offers. So why would I send it to you if I can get overpriced with all these people?
So nothing. So during COVID, I was like, I got to figure out something different. So then I did Facebook ads and I got properties off of Facebook ads.
Wow.
So you got to kind of change with the market when it comes.
Yes.
And then I'm like, I'm going to do ground up build then. Because nobody's doing that. And so then I started building. So now I'm still trying to build. It's been 3 years. 3 fourplexes by the University of Houston.
Oh, it's a
downtown
great location.
Houston,
Yeah.
which is amazing.
An opportunity zone?
It is.
Yes, I know.
It
I was
is.
looking at a property at that zone. Yeah.
Yeah, which then means if I hold the property, if I build these properties and I just rent them and I keep them for 8 to 10 years, I pay, and if I decide to sell them, I want to just keep them. But if I decide to sell them, I pay no capital gains.
Is the whole thing opportunity zone when you got it? Let's say you bought the property for 100,000. Is the 100,000 that you don't get paid capital gain, or whatever other money that you put for the construction?
The whole thing.
Even
I
if
don't
the
have
whole
to
thing
pay.
is after.
It's
Okay.
100% no tackle.
Just because the
capital
address
gains.
is within the opportunity zone.
Yes.
Okay. And that's
Now,
dying down, right?
The
In years.
challenge now with the opportunity zone is I'm going and building these brand new beautiful buildings, but nobody else is doing it. Not a lot of people are doing it. So then I would go tell people I'm going to go do this, and they're like, "You're crazy. Why are you doing that?" Because there's nothing like it there. But I'm like, because I have a vision, because I know this is going to change, and it has changed. In the last 3 years, there's so many more new builds. There's so many. The university is changing. It's like they're putting a bunch of money into the University of Houston. A lot more. It's moved up a tier. It's top tier now, where before it wasn't. So I'm like, exactly. I got in early. I saw it happening. I saw the change happening. But it's hard because I'm trailblazing. Like even my loan on it. So then I got a private money loan because if you don't have 3 or more ground up builds, as an investor, they won't loan to you.
The banks won't loan.
And I had one ground up build.
So you had a hard money loan, like 12%?
Yes.
Yes.
It was 12%.
Yeah, that's.
And borrowed it from an individual, and they put the money up for it. And then, of course, interest rates started to go up, and construction prices started to go up. So what I thought originally was going to be $1 million is now $2 million. And my husband's like, please sell these things. Like, we're going to be upside down. And then the lender got scared, and he's like, I want my money back. I don't want to do this project anymore.
What did you do? You sold some of your houses too?
Crazy. So I was like, okay. And I had the framing up already, had the foundation in, I had the framing. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll figure this out. I went to 15 banks.
Wow.
And
Talk
all
about
of them
hustle.
told me,
I know.
they all told me, and it's necessity too at this point, right? Like I'm like, I've got to finish these things. I can't
it's
just,
not like a project I might or might not do.
I'm
It's
halfway
like
in.
You need-
thoughts.
yeah.
I'm halfway in. So I, an investor, and the reason they wouldn't loan to me was because I had already started the build. And all of these banks want to be the original lender on the property, which I was like, that's crazy, because as an investor, the more you have built, like the less liability, right? So it just it didn't make sense to me. But I was having this problem. I went to the investor Facebook page. I put on there, I'm like, I'm having a problem. I need help. And Melissa Corda with Conventus Lending,
Just out of Seattle.
she
no?
responded back. She called me. And she's like, okay, tell me what's going on. I'm like, this is my challenge. This is what's going on. And it was so cute because I would tell her all about it. And she's like, I don't need to know that. I don't need to know that. And then she was just getting all the details. And then she sent this amazing email, CC'd me and her lending. I'm like, wow, that looked amazing, right? And so then she gets me on this call with her boss. I had no idea it was her boss. And I had just gotten asked to speak in San Antonio at a real estate investor event. And the call was scheduled right after. So I finished the speaking event. I get in the car. I decided to take my kids to San Antonio. It was on the weekend. So I have all my kids in the car and my husband.
Listening.
And I'm on this Google Meet with her boss that I didn't know. And I'm like, he's like, so why do you think this property is worth this? And I'm like, I don't really know. I just have a vision, right? And of course, look, so no lender would loan on this thing.
What year was that again?
That was 2000. That was a year ago. So yeah, 2023.
Okay.
2023. And
rates were already up.
Rates are still up. Like, this is my husband's saying, if you love me, you will sell these things. And I'm just like, I'm going to figure it out. It's going to work. And dying, right? And so then I'm telling him why. I'm like, I have a vision for this. Like, it's changing. I want to help provide housing. I'm making the area better. It's going to go up in value. I'm telling him all these things. And at the end of the call, he says, approved.
Nice.
And then they hang up. And then I call Melissa and I'm like, what was that? And she said, that was my boss. I'm like, your boss? Like, I'm in the car with my kids. And I'm like, I look so unprofessional. And then she said, no, the whole reason he does this lending is he wants to find people just like you who are having a challenge, who are making a difference. And he's like, this is exactly, you are the perfect person. And he loves what you're doing.
How is the project? Is it almost done?
So it's all finished, except we went to get the final power on. We had the final permits for the power. Went to get the power on. And that storm hit Houston just, 3 weeks ago? And half of Houston was out of power. And so we still don't have the power on. Because now they got to go get these work orders in, these emergency situations. And then we had another storm after that more power was out. So it's been 4 weeks, and we're just waiting for power.
And then once you finish and you have the power, then you can refi to a better loan?
Yep.
Or you need to rent them out?
I don't have to rent them because I'm doing... Now, if I was doing like an agency loan, like a bank loan, then I would have to have them rented and they would want to see the cash flow. But what I'm doing is a DSCR loan. So they appraised them and then I'm getting 70%. I'm going to refinance with Melissa Corda, the same lenders, and just get 70% loan on it. Where they don't go off your tax return, they don't go off your income.
Just the property.
And that's another thing, because if I do my tax returns, my 60 properties, like I show the income, but when I show a bank my tax returns, they get scared because of all the properties. And then they want to see all the expenses on all the properties. They want to see the HOAs on all the properties. And so then it's hard to get a loan. Although I have great credit.
Yeah.
So I don't get loans.
I feel you. It's hard for me and my husband. We're both entrepreneurs. We have great credit.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to get a loan when you're an real estate investor.
It really is.
But there's ways.
You find a way.
Oh, yeah.
You always find a way.
Well, and actually, I'm filing my business taxes separate from my personal now. So I technically could, but then you got to have 2 years of it. And I just started doing that. So I probably could now, but not good timing.
Well, congratulations on your success.
Yeah, thank you.
Your story is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Cami, for giving us the time to hear all your stories.
Just
we need to
one last question.
Okay.
I just want to have one last question. So, okay, are you still doing subject to or no?
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So today it's
Very
back. So that's a good question. Today it is just like 2010. Like, go in, get as many homes as you can. All in 2010, they were all upside down. There's a bunch that are still like that borderline upside down. It's the perfect time to do it. It's back. Subject to is back. And I really want to go teach this and help everybody who can't get a loan or can't get a house, and go help them get a house. Yeah.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah.
It's always a
Great.
good thing because it's real estate. You just have to wait for that wave, and that wave is
To
back
see
up,
what cycle,
so
what
you
market
can-
cycle,
yeah.
what part of the market cycle you are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
See
and when the market
opportunities.
changes, you change your strategy, like
Exactly.
the Facebook
Exactly.
marketing,
You just adjust
and
the
you
market
just
and-
adjust.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so
Yeah.
much for sharing your
Yeah.
story with us and with our audience. We loved having you.
Yeah, you're not that far. You're
Here.
in Houston, so we can
Yeah.
probably have a trip out there and have more because we want to learn about you, mentorship, and all the things that you do to help the community also get informed and educated, which we'd
Yes.
really appreciate.
And you can do this anywhere.
Yes.
Doesn't have to be
yes.
just Houston. It can be any
Yeah,
state.
yeah.
Right.
We're going to leave all the information about Cami Davis and what she does in the description, so you can find more information about her and follow her. Well, thank you so much,
Thank
Cami.
you.
This is Gaby Proctor.
I'm Lala Lizondo, and this is Real Estate Talks.
Si llegaste hasta aquí es porque te gustó la información y estás interesado en invertir en real estate en Estados Unidos.
Para esto hemos creado un entrenamiento que te va a simplificar este camino, ya sea que seas un inversionista por primera vez o que seas un inversionista sofisticado.
En la descripción de este episodio está la liga que te llevará a este entrenamiento.
O bien búscanos en Instagram como @invierte con Lala y Gaby y comenta con la palabra invertir en cualquiera de nuestras publicaciones y así te mandamos la liga a este entrenamiento.
Muchísimas gracias por habernos escuchado. Nos vemos en el siguiente.
Escucha un episodio nuevo de Real Estate Talks cada semana.
En tu plataforma favorita para escuchar podcasts.
Ponte en contacto con nosotros en lalaygaby.com.